Hello?
Hello.
What is going on?
Is truly, this will make a tremendous difference, and you're going to hear that from some of our patients today in the lives that have been impacted by serious illnesses or injuries. PeaceHealth has 16,000 caregivers as well as 1,200 providers in our 10 hospital system. Okay. So our missions align, really, the PeaceHealth as well as LifePoint missions align around the person, the patient, support person, the caregiver, and our community. And you'll also see and hear throughout this presentation that the proposal is consistent with our PeaceHealth core values. Respect, which is promoting dignity and worth for each patient by providing healing and compassionate care in a hospital-based setting that will focus only on rehab. Social justice, and we're going to talk a lot today about access to care that's not currently available in the service area, let alone the state. And through our charitable care program, PeaceHealth is committed to providing care to inpatient rehab facility patients. We also are going to talk about stewardship. The joint venture relationship with LifePoint allows us to be good financial stewards despite this difficult financial landscape most healthcare systems are experiencing. And you're also going to hear a lot today about collaboration with LifePoint and our community partners. So just to give you an overview of the PeaceHealth Oregon network, we are a 4-hospital system here in PeaceHealth. In 1936, the Sisters of St. Joseph of Peace came to Eugene to save the ailing hospital at the request of 35 physicians. And through their vision, what you'll see is a landscape of the 4 ministries that are served here in Lane County. Just last year, we served 25,000 inpatients who were admitted for inpatient care in our ministries. We also had we served 276,000 outpatient visits in hospital-based outpatient visits, and over 571,000 patients were served through our PHMG clinics. So workforce, we know, is a really big issue in Lane County and across the nation, actually. And we just want to call that out, that we do recognize that, and it's on the top of our minds when we're considering this program and the sustainability. By leveraging really great partnerships that we have with Bushnell as well as Lane Community College, we, through partnerships that PeaceHealth are working we work together to be able to introduce another 80 nursing graduates per year. So for the total between both colleges, and the university and the college, will see a total of 205 nursing graduates every year through that partnership. Additionally, we plan to recruit and retain through evidence-based, 100% foundation funded Institute for the Nursing Excellence program. And this is really designed to support nurses and interprofessional partners by empowering them to deliver exceptional patient care while also nurturing a rewarding healthcare career. And through our partnerships, this is, our partnership with LifePoint really exemplifies what we value, is making sure that every patient receives safe, compassionate care every time, every touch. And through our partnership since 2020, when we began our partnership with LifePoint, we've seen an increase in access to rehab care, inpatient rehab care. We've also been able to have an ability through our great program director and medical director, through their skill and quality and just how highly qualified they are, to introduce more medically complex patients on the unit, as well as we've really seen a great increase in our quality of care and outcomes. When we first started this partnership, we were in the lower decile in the nation, and now we're hovering close to just 90th percentile. And that's just in 3 years. And we just can't wait to see what the future holds for our partnership. So just wanted to be fully transparent and with the goal of not delaying this particular certificate of need process for the inpatient rehab facility that we believe will provide vital services in our community. We are submitting into the record our plan to propose a temporarily moving the acute rehab unit from University District to Riverbend upon receiving appropriate regulatory approval. We do want to emphasize for this certificate of need in this presentation today that that plan is temporary, and the maximum number of beds that could be obtained at Riverbend in that space is 27 beds. Additionally, we want to emphasize that it will remain fundamentally acute care, not inpatient rehab facility or hospital-based space. And there are some significant differences between the two programs. For example, it would be 775 square feet per patient at Riverbend versus what could be achieved in the inpatient rehab facility of 1,200 square foot per patient. There are also no beds available or able to be designated for the brain injury or spinal cord program that we've introduced with this application, as well as no therapy suite or cooking suite. And then there's also the equipment that you're going to hear a lot about here in a minute that is just would not be able to be offered in any of our Oregon hospital ministries, and or the outdoor therapy space that we're excited to be able to offer the community. So with that, I will turn it over to Brian.
Thank you, Alicia. I'm Brian Sandberg. I'm Vice President of Market Planning and Development. I'm here today to talk about a little bit about LifePoint and want to start with our culture. One of the great things that we have is our mission of making communities healthier, with our vision of wanting to create a place where patients choose to come for healthcare, physicians and providers want to practice, and employees want to work. And one of the things you can see from mission and vision and core values is sometimes they're just taglines. But us, we live them. We live them, every day in terms of our ability to communicate with our employees, to communicate with the staff and the community, to serve all of those needs. And what's been exciting, as you heard from Alicia, a little bit of our history with working with PeaceHealth is we feel so comfortable in terms of our values and how they fit into the mission and statement of PeaceHealth in terms of their ability and drive for social justice mission in terms of their structure. So very proud of our organization and how we work with our staff and patients and community to serve the patient's ultimate needs, to get them home so that they no longer need additional care. So with that, I'm going to go through briefly a little bit of the little bit about LifePoint's joint venture history and relationships and structures. So LifePoint, with our rehabilitation division, which is a business unit of LifePoint Health, operates and manages over 54 joint venture relationships for freestanding rehabilitation hospitals, which is exactly what we're proposing to establish here in Springfield with PeaceHealth. The great benefit that we see in doing that is we've been able to always combine the best of both. Our joint venture partners, such as PeaceHealth, live and work in their community and know their community, have served it for many years and decades. And we can come in and bring the extra support that's needed for rehabilitation expertise. So whether that's operationally, clinically, financially, driven in structures, bringing the best care and the best practices from both organizations to do that. And that's what we do with our relationships across the country. And we want to continue doing with PeaceHealth here. And so with that, just an overview basically of the basic components of our relationships in the joint venture things with rehabilitation hospitals. The focus, first of all, is on clinical expertise. We're looking at the training and education and the staff that we bring so they can bring state-of-the-art care and services to the community and to the patients that we are going to serve, bringing all those customized protocols and treatments. And we don't do this in a vacuum. We do this together with PeaceHealth as the joint venture work together to bring those things forward and do that. Our structure and reporting this is the operational management structure. So we bring a wide range of management services, both clinical, EMR structures, financial, regulatory, compliance components, quality indicators, all the things to meet that, to make sure that the program and service brings those best things to practice and to bear in that. And it's specific to the staff. One of the key things that we've had for years, have today at PeaceHealth in the rehab program today, and we'll have in the future, is the things that we can bring to bring the staff together, all the nurses, all the therapists, all the training, education, and ongoing management tools that they have to do that, as well as the technology that comes with that. You'll hear a little bit more about that, of the technology that's used both for the team and administration, as well as the team in taking care of patients. And through that, results are kind of one of the things that we love to see. And Alicia talked about this in terms of the rehab unit today being at or near the 90th percentile for the unit that we have at Sacred Heart right now. This kind of just shows you a little bit again of all of the programs that we have across the country and the achievement of quality. This is a measure that Uniform Data System, which is a nationally recognized system structure for measuring and reporting on quality care that's provided to patients across the country. And we're very proud of the results that we've been able to achieve in having all of our hospitals to reach that level. and continue to grow with that. Another indicator of some of our striving for quality has been, we're very proud of the fact that Newsweek has ranked many of our hospitals across the United States first in their state in terms of quality outcomes and provision of care and service. And our programs in this region, including CHI Franciscan, which is in Tacoma, is one of the recognized facilities in that and going forward. And again, just another standard for us. We also have 2 facilities that have achieved the National Baldrige Award for quality indication, and we're very proud of those things as well in doing that. And with that, I'd like to turn this over to Sharon Smeltzer, who is our Vice President of Operations for the rehab hospitals in the Western United States, to talk a little bit more detail in terms of our clinical quality and care components.
And just really quickly before we turn to her, it's been brought to my attention that we were muted. So all the folks online didn't hear my little spiel thing. So just before we give it over to Sharon, I just want to let folks know, you're in a public meeting. We're going to have time for public comment, both for folks in the room, folks online. Please reach out to Pam Krecklow with your name and that you want to provide public comment, and we'll make sure you're added to the list. I believe the presentation will be posted to our website shortly for folks to access. And all of the chat and everything else within the Zoom call will also be posted to the website. So go ahead.
No, thank you. Sharon, if you're ready.
Thank you, Brian.
Slide.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I am the regional vice president for our West region. So Brian mentioned the Tacoma Hospital. I've worked closely with them since the beginning. I've spent a little over 3 decades in rehabilitation. A little less than first a half, I was on an ARU unit, which is what we've talked about. Do great work there, serve so many communities. But about almost 20 years ago, I transitioned to freestanding rehabilitation hospital design when this company opened and started the partnership. And I really would like to be a witness to what a difference the rehab hospital can make. The entire space, Alicia mentioned 775 square feet per patient, but as the hospital all serves rehab, there's not a coworker employee that is not there for that mission of that patient in their rehabilitation recovery. So it really allows everyone who's involved with the hospital a specialty in what we do for our patients. And the way that we, along with those outcomes that Brian mentioned, that we strive to provide an excellent program is through CARF accreditation, which is our accreditation for rehabilitation facilities. It's really the gold standard. And we strive for all of our hospitals to be CARF accredited. This hospital would not be any different than that. We go beyond that and seek specialty programs. You'll see mentioned on the slide, specialty in stroke. We have 16 programs. We also have brain injury. We also have some Joint Commission special accreditations in spinal cord and brain injury. And that would be the design here. We have, with that specialty, a dedicated brain injury unit. I have seen that for years. And really what that allows is a special, it's therapeutic in that it's low stimulation so that the walls would be painted differently. It's separate from the rest of the unit so that it's a quieter stimulation. It really serves as a healing environment for that designation of patient, as well as patient safety. We're able to staff a little bit differently and really provide the specialty care. What we see in our other organizations is not only are we serving that community, but we serve the state. Many rehab units do not have this. It'd be highly unlikely that they would. So rehab, because you're at a point of where you're stabilized in your healthcare from the acute side, it really is and does become a destination site. So as the outcomes grow, as our program grows, many times that we'll see that people come from the region for the specialty level of care and that outcomes. Next slide, please. So
Okay.
it was already referenced about the special equipment that we invest in our rehabilitation hospitals. This first item that we'd highlight is the Exo Bionics system. I have seen this used for the first time on many patients, and not only is it therapeutic in retraining the neural pathways for ambulation, it also really serves in a motivational thing. Many of our patients have come from, an acute accident or a stroke or something that's happened where they question, can I or will I ever walk again? So I've seen this used with patients that it just really is such an encouraging thing for them and their loved ones. And the outcomes on this and the research is really astronomical where we're going with bionics. We try to stay ahead of those things. So instead of, as we've talked about, every unit, it develops, we start our hospitals with this level of equipment. And if you'll go to the next slide, I'll highlight a few others that this hospital would start with as well. So you'll see that every hospital, we have our upper extremity in motion robot. That's what you see on the small picture there. So not only the Exo is working, the lower half of the body, we're also working the upper half of the body with retraining those neural pathways. We have a gait, a light gait. I've seen this used and our therapists love this. It's able to actually help ambulate the patient on a treadmill. So they're supported with that. We also have an electronic standing frame at every hospital. So it raises the patient and a Kinetic active passive cycle, and also some additional balance equipment that gets into the 3D technology. And again, we have a whole team that is evaluating state-of-the-art equipment going forward as well. But, with all of these great things, I'm going to end where I started. I've been doing this for a long time, and really the specialization of all of our employees cannot be replaced. Even our dietary teams, they're focused on the patient's recovery. We do the community dining. They'll get to know the patients as well. EVS, our parking lot, everything that you see, this really is just a destination place of specialty for rehabilitation care. And with that, I will pass it on, I believe, to Jody.
Great, thanks, Sharon.
Can I just ask the technical question, am I right clicking or am I? We gotta go up to the next. Okay, so let's, there. I will try my best here. I could listen for hours to these stories. My job is to put some data into the record, and so I will be short and fast. I want to first thank the program and OHA for the partnership that we've had for the past 6 or 7 months on this. The temporary rules have been really helpful, and I'm just going to reiterate quickly some of the information that's already in the record. So we're proposing as our primary service area, the area where the majority of our patients will come from, to be a 5-county service area with almost about 850,000 in population. PeaceHealth is the only provider of inpatient rehab services in that region today. The state's rules require that we drill down and take a look in more detail at other providers in the service area, hospitals that have acute care capacity, and explain why those hospitals really can't or have chosen not to convert any of their beds to acute rehab. This service area is unique in that there are quite a few. If we're looking at the 5-county region, almost half the hospitals are critical access hospitals. That probably doesn't mean a lot to most of you, but it's a federal program that limits the hospital to 25 beds. And the most beds on top of that they can have for acute rehab is 10. And so based upon the conversation we just had, it becomes, I think, a matter of fact that most of those hospitals, none of those hospitals could have the technology, the staffing, or the equipment to do what we're proposing to do in the freestanding hospital. And then I think the next piece that we just really want to talk about quickly is that we also, the hospitals that are more in the metropolitan areas. They too have capacity issues today. We went back and we looked at the census for those hospitals for every single day between 2000, I believe it was 2018 and 2022. And what we found is within those hospitals, there is no hospital that really has 50 unused beds. We also find that with the pending changes that will be happening at the University District Hospital, that the whole entire service area actually needs more acute care beds. And so the ability for anyone to convert to beds doesn't make sense. And again, I've done a lot of reading and a lot of research over the past couple of years related to these kinds of projects. And it's true that we have one opportunity here to build the kind of facility that will be a legacy for this community for decades. And it's in a new freestanding IRF of 50 beds. It allows us to attract and recruit the best staff, retain the best staff. It allows for the equipment. It allows for the spaces for families to be with their loved ones, and it's really the best opportunity for us. So the data is on the record. We've redone it again, cleaned it up a little bit, but I think it demonstrates the need for the project. I'll turn it back over.
Hi, this is Brian Thamberg again. I just wanted to follow up with a couple of things that Sharon had laid out for us. One of them is to show you a sample of the floor plans in terms of the freestanding facilities and what they look like, to kind of show you the different areas. So on the bottom right hand side, you can see that distinct behavioral brain and spine program that is going to be available to patients. It's a separate, distinct area. The hospital is going to have its own support services, so having its own gym area, own dedicated dining component, so that those patients can be together, go through that, and be in that quiet environment and low stimulation environment that Sharon described previously. In addition, you can just see some of the larger support services that we have. The large therapy gym, love to have that space, going to have a lot of light, a lot of windows, a lot of great things, to have all that equipment and technology that Sharon had described for you all to go through, be located here. And then also the dining area for patients, staff, and families, that they can go, the patients get up and out of their rooms every day to go into programs for that. The next slide is just a visual rendering, so you all can kind of see what the building's going to look like conceptually of how we envision it today, in terms of being able to fit into the environment, going to be fit right into the Riverbend area and district in terms of its function and structure. Really looking forward to one day being able to see the building up and in use and going forward from that. Then just quickly, just a few examples that we have here of, again, some of the spaces that Sharon talked about. And here I talked about, here's an example of the gym, and see all the equipment and all the needs, the bright light, the windows, the technology that we can have in that space to give patients every opportunity to recover and be able to return home. And more pictures of the gym, as well as one of the big things is the car transfer. Had the little car in there that people can do that. It's one of those great things of being able to treat. They're going back home. One of the things they have to be able to do is get around in the car and be able to do that. We'll have those things, as well as the cooking therapy that we alluded to before, that don't have all those functions that we want today, but we will have them for the future. Now I'll turn it back over to Alicia.
Thank you. As we close out our formal presentation, we just wanted to say thank you for processing the certificate of need application, and also thanks. We have received multiple letters of support that have come through from a number of different organizations and agencies throughout our community. And also really just, I had the opportunity to tour one of these facilities down in Arizona, and I was just awestruck about the ability to bring this gift to our community, especially with this exceptional team that we have here with LifePoint and with PeaceHealth. And it is something that we do not have in this community now, and it is a really big need, especially the traumatic brain injury unit, as well as the enhanced therapy and the different technology and support and equipment. So thank you. We look forward to hearing from our patients and providers as well who would like to provide support for the project. Thank you.
Perfect. I think just had a couple of quick follow-up questions for you all, and then we'll turn it over for public comment. So the first one, I know there the reports in the media that we've read, and so about the closure of the University District Hospital. So I wondered if you can comment on the potential for confusion, hospital closing one facility to open another, and sort of.
Right, yes, happy to provide support, additional information on that. So we did announce last week our intent upon receiving regulatory approval to close the University District Hospital. It was a very difficult decision for us to make. And part of that, as it relates to this project, is we still want to maintain and retain services for acute rehab, the acute rehab services upon that closure, and not have a disconnect or a lack of services even for a day to our community. And so with that, it is our intent to go through the regulatory process to be able to remove the 27 beds at University District, those acute rehab beds that are certified, over to Riverbend on a unit there, and go through that process. Upon closure of UD, those 27 beds will close. We'll open them up at Riverbend. That will only be a temporary placement, or those beds will only be open temporarily for acute rehab services until the inpatient rehab facilities open, and then we'll go ahead and close those beds at Riverbend.
Okay. And then the next question, more specific to the CN application, so for Jody and for both of you. So I know that in the media there were large deficits reported. And so I'm curious if that was reflected in the application, and if it was, where we could find it.
Are you talking about operationally, the bottom line?
I'm talking about, so the financials reports that we saw in the media.
So you have the audited financials.
Okay.
Right. If you need more detail, you want to let us know what you need.
Yeah.
Again, and this is also based on joint venture partnership.
Okay.
So it is a joint venture with,
Sorry.
again, I not knowing what you're referring to in the media.
Yeah.
And the accuracy of that, but this is based on a joint venture partnership with LifePoint.
Okay.
And so the information that you have is based on those.
Okay. Yeah. What I was referring to was the Lund Report article that came out and talked about the $2 million deficit or operational deficit. So
yes.
if that was incorporated into the financial information we received.
No, so that would have been for University District campus.
Okay.
And the ministry, that hospital.
Okay.
The information you received was for the inpatient rehab facility and the joint venture partnership.
Okay.
If you need more information, we're glad to make sure you have.
Perfect.
Have what you need.
Okay. Do you have any questions? I think we've got the door. The door lock is on a timer, so if you do need to go outside, let us know and we can add more money to the timer. So it looks like we've got 7 folks to provide public comment. John, if I could ask you to do the microphone. If folks need a microphone, we can make sure we get your comments loud and clear and recorded. So the first, let's see, it looks like we've got 6 folks in person and 1 person, no. 7 folks in person. Yeah, I'm just telling you. Okay, 3 on Zoom. So the first person I've got listed here is West Libidas. And Pam will be unmuting you.
West, are you there? I'm under your name too, so it might be the wrong West unmuted.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, there you go.
All right, thank you so much. So I joined a little bit late, and I was looking through the slides. But as a way of introduction, my name is West Libiday, and I have a spinal cord injury 10 years ago. I'm the executive director of Oregon's Spinal Cord Injury Connection. And after my spinal cord injury, I founded this organization, and we employ community health workers, other people who have spinal cord injuries, to help people transition from acute rehab into the community. And our lived experience is really informative in how we do things and how we try to partner with other organizations, particularly hospitals and acute rehab facilities. We feel like the sooner that bridge occurs, somebody with a spinal cord injury who's trained as a community health worker aligns with a newly injured person and their family to support that transition, the better the likelihood of them to stabilize on a positive health trajectory. So the reason I gave a little caveat in the beginning that I started, I was added late, or I got in late, is I have a little confusion about the first few slides. My understanding is that the PeaceHealth is proposing a large new inpatient rehab facility. But one of the slides says that the interim or the temporary place won't have space for spinal cord injury or brain injury acquired patients. So that was where I was confused. But what I am speaking to is this proposal for a new inpatient rehab facility in Eugene. So if I'm off, or my assumptions are wrong, please stop me. But I fully support this, the need for more acute rehab inpatient beds. I also would say wholeheartedly that a large enterprise like this, a large undertaking, should absolutely try to partner with community-based organizations that are supporting this transition of an acute inpatient rehab patient into the community. And that is exactly what we do. And the reason that it's incredibly important is because without community, the adversity of spinal cord injury, and I would suspect the adversity of a traumatic brain injury, can really sink a person. There are so many gaps in care in the community that without somebody there that has navigated that tumultuous time, it's easy to lose track of where you're finding resources or what you might need. We find that people people can easily acquire a pressure sore. Poor nutrition can lead to that as well as just like there's depression, social isolation, a loss of hope about what does life look like after spinal cord injury. I would say that I heard some of the folks from LifePoint speak about the bells and whistles that will be in this acute rehab facility, like an exoskeleton and some other things. And those are really great things. I really think that every acute rehab facility should have those. But I think if without a bridge to the community, it's, you're really sending people off to sea in a dinghy. And many people can't afford those exoskeletons once they're discharged. Their insurance doesn't pay for them. There's all kinds of reasons why, the bells and whistles are nice in the acute rehab. They do facilitate some kind of functional regain and stuff. they don't really have, I mean, they have rare community-based application. So anyhow, that's my spiel. I'm very excited and supportive of this endeavor. And the other West Liverday that's on here is a colleague, a coworker that is a community health worker, and I hope he has opportunity to share his experience as a community health worker later on. So with that, I will pass, and thank you so much for this opportunity to share.
All right, thank you, Wes. Next person we have signed up is Sonan Novak. And I'll apologize if I miss. Oh, okay. So, never mind. Bobby Otis. And if I mispronounce names, I'm sorry. But I'm happy.
Hello. No, it's Bobby Otis. I was a patient at PeaceHealth on 2 different occasions. I was 26 years in law enforcement and 8 years as a firefighter EMT. And I ended up getting hurt in the line of duty and required 3 back surgeries. The first back surgery was in 2021 in Salem. And then I went down and had 2 surgeries, June of 23 and July of 23, and was able to go from McKenzie-Willamette Hospital to PeaceHealth to Rehab. Having, a back injury and being forced to be told that you'll never go back to your career again took a heavy toll on me and my family. I want to say that the nurses, the doctors, the CNAs, everybody there at the PeaceHealth Hospital Rehab, when I attended, did a fabulous job. I fell one day on my second visit, and the nurse, who was 3 times smaller than me, guided my big body down to the ground gently and helped me. I've been in that small gym working out. It would be nice if it would have been bigger, and had windows. I got to go out a couple times with my therapist outside, which for 5 minutes, 15 minutes was nice to get that air. I fully support a new, bigger facility, because as I would walk around, by myself or in a wheelchair wheeling around, I saw empty rooms. And the sad part about that is you guys didn't have the nurses there. And I think if you have a bigger facility, that would be more, better for, newer nurses to want to come and work at a new facility that's higher tech. Nothing against the old one. I mean, like I said, the therapists that I had, all the way down to the cleaning staff, were very nice. And working in law enforcement, last summer I had a hard, difficult time, and I did something I shouldn't have done and scared my family. And I was talking to, the nurses and the CNAs, and, they would come back and just talk, because I was in Eugene. My family all lives in Salem, so they couldn't come down every day. They worked, and my kids did. But it was like a family there at PeaceHealth. The doctors, like I said, were fantastic, and I fully support, this new building, and would like to have a tour of it, when and if it's built. I think that, having a bigger and more space, and having the building, with more glass, I think that will help for the depression. I totally agree, that when you're in a small room and you're there by yourself, it can get pretty lonely when you don't have really a good window to look out. But I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to speak. And I would, again, fully support a building to be, rebuilt. And they did great care with me. I'm up walking around slowly, but I'm still walking, which is a lot better than what I could have been. So thank you for allowing me this time.
All right, thank you, Bobby. Real quick, important announcement. If you drive a car with a license plate 099MBF, I guess you're parked in the SUV parking. I don't know if anybody here has that car.
That might be mine.
Yeah, they said it's in the it's in an SUV, Springfield Utility Board parking spot.
Okay.
And if you want a picture of your car with license plate, happy to provide you with one. Okay, the next person I have signed up, is it Tarek or Tara? All right. Oh, perfect. Okay, yeah.
So hi, my name is Farid Mashawi. I'm associate medical director at the ORC, the Rehab. I've been working there for the last 2 years. Before that, I was, still actually. So I'm by training, I'm a hospitalist. I work at the McKinsey Hospital. I've always had this feeling when I was discharging patients to the nursing homes, like where were they going? Like what's going on there? What's happening to these patients? ORC was out of reach back then. I'm talking like maybe 4 years ago. They had to have a patient that was completely stable. They couldn't take a lot of patients, so it was really hard to get patients to ORC. And then now I'm medical director of 2 nursing homes currently, so I know what's going on at the skilled nursing facilities. And I joined the ORC around 2 years ago. I'm not employed by LifePoint. I'm not employed by PeaceHealth. I'm just an independent contractor. But looking at the skilled nursing facilities and looking at ORC, I can see that these 2 types of facilities, they have their patients. ORC is not going to take patients from the skilled nursing facilities because there are some patients that really need to be in a skilled nursing facility, and they might be transported to ORC or vice versa. So I've seen what ORC can do. I've seen patients coming in with multiple with injuries, motor vehicle accidents, brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, big strokes, and it's unbelievable. The care that they get. Again, I'm not employed by LifePoint or PeaceHealth. The nurses, the therapists, the difference in their the outcome is just amazing. I feel bad when we don't have beds for patients, when I feel that there are patients that are just like on a waiting list and we don't have beds for them. That's really just makes me feel sad because these patients would really benefit from having this extensive inpatient rehab. I think having a bigger facility, having the 50 beds with specialty in traumatic brain injury with all the amenities that were mentioned is really going to be very beneficial to the community. It's going to be very beneficial actually to not just Oregon. I mean, I think we're going to get referrals from like all over, to be honest with you. I mean, we still get patients sometimes from north, up north, from south. And so I'm like I fully support to build this facility and so that we can help the community. Again, for the record, I don't work for LifePoint. I don't work for PeaceHealth. Independent contractor. Nobody is paying me to say these words. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Okay. The next person I have signed up is Robin Wilkerson.
Right here.
Thanks.
Hello, I'm Robin Wilkerson, and I had a auto accident that broke my neck last September. So I'll be a year in and out of the hospital with rehab and rehab in Florence, rehab at my home. And I was also in rehab at the care facility here with Fiona and Megan. They were my neuropsychologist is what Megan is. And then all the other people involved with bringing me back to life was up north in Washington, Portland, Riverbend. I was in a hospital for 6 months and I went from the accident spot to Florence, Florence to Eugene, Eugene to a spot in between Eugene and Portland where I was in an ambulance being transferred up there. And I had cardiac arrest while going in the ambulance going to Vibra is the name of it. And then I was in Vibra for 2.5 months where I couldn't talk. I had breathing tubes and a tracheotomy. I had COVID twice with pneumonia. They say I died a couple times. I'm not sure about that, but there was times I was woken up by the nurses because I had literally went away. But then from Vibra, I went to Vancouver Specialty. That was the first rehab place I went to. But you still have your tracheotomy then, you still have the trachea. The breathing tubes have been removed. And then when you have your trach removed, then you're able to go to a rehab type of place or a therapy type of place. And I had several, actually 4 or 5 different places I could have went because these therapy places wanted me. They had heard my story and they wanted me to come to their places so they could experience my recovery. But I chose Eugene. And that's when I met Megan and Dr. Fiona and the other people that worked at this Sacred Heart place. There's the rehab place. I went from an hour-a-day rehab to 3-hour-a-day rehab. And the place here in Eugene was the best place I had been in my big circle of hospitals and recovery. There are certain parts or aspects of the place here in Eugene that was challenging for not only for myself, but for people that come to visit me, like the long walk from the parking areas to get to me so they can visit me. And that's usually family. And there was a lot of family wanting to see me and friends because I had been gone for so long in the hospitals up north. And they would park and the only time they would come see me after that was only when I needed them to come see me for my own mental stability. But a lot of times they wouldn't come because of the far walk from the car to where I was at. Another thing about the facility was the therapy gyms were really small and not understaffed. They had great people like Stephanie, who I remember immensely. She bounced around like a rabbit and serviced everybody with a smile on her face. And she had a passion for her job. I remember those people in the process of me being healed. And there's another person in Vibra up in Portland, where her name was Dawn Oferman. She was a respiratory therapist. This lady, I talked to her 2 days ago. I was telling her I was gonna come here and I was gonna mention her name. And the reason I mentioned her name is because she deserves it. This woman works about 55 hours a week. I tell Dr. Peony about this. And I was one of the more critical patients because I had, I was fed by tubes, I breathed by tubes. I was strapped in my bed on several occasions because of the medicines that were given me that caused me to hallucinate. But she would work her hours all day long and stop by my room on her way home. Put all her stuff down at the door when you come into my room, and make sure everything that helped me breathe, because she was a respiratory therapist, was hooked up right. Things were clean because of the COVID crisis. And then the next morning, when she come in to go to work, if she wasn't in my unit, she would set everything down at the door because she was early and come back into my room and make sure I was good to go before she would see anybody else. And then she'd do it again at the end of the day. But Dawn Opperman is her name. And then there's, like I said, there's Stephanie that worked with Megan and Dr. Fiona at this place here in Eugene, who I'll never forget either. And then there's a guy named Eric and Maya, who work at Vancouver Specialty up in Washington, where I was at. But I remember all the people that had a passion for what they're doing. These people kept me alive. And finally, when I got to go home after the Eugene stay, Dr. Fiona and Megan were on each side of me in my bed on the day I left. Isn't that true? It wished me the best when I went home. I went.
Ring the bell.
I did ring the bell. I did ring the bell.
That's part of.
And then when I got home, I had additional therapists, in-home therapists that showed up twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And one of his name was Brian Strong. I talked to him every week because we discussed my progress. And I made tremendous progress. When I was here in Eugene up in the therapy room, they'd have to slide board me out of bed and slide board me back into bed. And this particular room I was in, I couldn't use the toilet because I couldn't get my wheelchair close enough to it to use it. So I was always in a diaper. The therapy room, like I said, the therapy room is real small and inadequate. So when you talk about having this 50 room or 50 bed facility that's engineered and structured to help people the way, that's really impressive. So anytime in the future, if you can use me, I don't care what it is, to help further along this process, whether it be a helper or once it's built and you have therapists in there that need an aid, I'm willing to do these things because I have to get back. There's been so much done for me. I have to get back, and if Megan or Dr. Fiona, if they wind up in that project, with I'm sure they will, if it's built, I want them to remember me, where I'm willing to help. So that's what I have to say about this new facility. I think it's overdue. I think it's something that should be jumped on as soon as possible. If I could give you a blank check to build this facility, I would say that here's your check, just go build it. But, that's what I gotta say, I think it's very needed. And I think the professionalism from the people that I've met through the process, the people are just tremendous. The passion they have for their jobs. I can't thank them enough. And that goes for Megan and Dr. Frione too, because they helped me tremendously. Megan was in my room, I think once a week for an hour. But my wife died while I was in the hospital. And Megan was in there to help me, and she did. She would let me talk, then she would ask me another question and let me talk. And she was just wonderful. So that's all I gotta say is, the sooner the better on having it built.
Thank you, Robert.
You're welcome.
Okay, next person I've signed up, Habib Fanny.
Hi, I'm Habib Fani. I'm the medical director of ORC currently. I've been working there since April 2020. Before that, I have experience working in different rehab facilities, Michigan, Iowa, Tennessee. I've been at about 7 facilities so far. I also briefly served as medical director of 2 nursing facilities here in town. So first question that's often asked about something like this is why more inpatient rehab beds? Don't we have enough rehab beds at low level in town? And so we do, but study after study since 1995 have shown that patients at an inpatient rehab facility get more therapy hours per week and get better functional gains, return home at a better level, return home faster, and have lower risk of complications and lower risk of readmission than patients at nursing home. And part of that is simply that we have much more medical supervision. The nurses have fewer patients to take care of. We have more nurses aides, and our physicians are visiting patients at least 4 times a week, but quite often daily. So if there's any complications, very, very easy to get them early and intervene before the patient has to be transferred to an acute care because of increased gravity of the situation. In our system, I also have access to all kinds of specialists. So if there's a complication in the surgical wound, I can take a picture, show it to the surgeon and get a recognition right away. If I think that I need to talk to a cardiologist or nephrologist, I can get on the phone within 10 minutes. So this is the reason why inpatient rehab is usually better for patients, and that giving that chance to more people is usually beneficial for the community. Number 2, we have, so the Kaiser Family Foundation has been providing data about healthcare for decades now. One of the that they provide is data about the number of hospital beds per capita. The last year that we had data for 2021, and during that year, Oregon and Washington were the last 2 states, the bottom 2 in the nation for the number of beds per capita. That also translates into a lower number of rehab beds per capita. Washington has already taken a step towards removing that in 2018. LifePoint, which is in Cambridge, was involved in building a 60-bed facility in Tacoma. Oregon has not had the chance to do anything similar. So this would be something overdue. The other thing to think about is not just the needs for today, but what are we going to need in 5 years, what are we going to need in 10 years? Is what we have currently enough? At various times when we had enough nursing staffing, we've had to turn down large numbers of patients who would have benefited from a high level of care. Patients who are coming to us, whether they have a neurological injury like a stroke or Guillain-Barré syndrome or spinal cord injury, or they have medically complex needs, as more and more our patients do, as we get an older and older population, tend to be able to benefit from more specialized care. Like I said, in our setting, very, very inappropriate to treat a spinal cord injury patient, for instance, at a lower level than inpatient rehab. They have complex needs regarding their autonomic dysfunction. They have myelobladder issues that other levels are just not equipped to deal with whatsoever. So that's the main thing I've heard from the patients who are really happy that they've been able to get a chance to come to us. Because of my experience working at nursing homes, sometimes I get a call from the nursing home trying to send some patients who are doing better at that level, and they would like to send them to us, and we've had to turn down quite a few of those as well because we don't have the bed capacity. So I think this would be of great benefit to the community. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
And the next person we have is joining via Zoom, Ken Coons.
Hello, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I was fortunate enough to be a patient from Valentine's Day this year until March 15th at the ORC in Eugene. From our late arrival, where they accommodated us by being there late and giving us something to eat because we had missed dinner, to the time that I left, everyone there was wonderful and launched me on a successful road to recovery. I'm a GBS patient, Guillain-Barré syndrome, still on that long, unpredictable road to recovery, but I got a jump start there at ORC. The staff was amazing. The facilities were amazing, although the gym was a bit small, as somebody else has mentioned, I believe. But I am totally in favor of a larger, more modern facility to accommodate people that have these. Mine was minor. I didn't have a brain injury. I didn't have a spinal injury. I was paralyzed from the neck down in September, and I've come a long way since then, but mine is like nothing compared to some of the stories I've heard today, except the commonality that ORC did a wonderful job. And I would like to see a bigger facility. I would support that for more people to benefit as I did. I want to keep my remarks brief, but I thank you for the chance to speak.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Do we have anybody else?
David, I did not design, I did design on the wrong paper. You want anything?
Oh, yeah, did I skip you? Sorry, David?
Yeah. I can't. You can sit down. I'm not awake yet.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I can't top your story, but I agree, these ORC was amazing. Yeah. Just, yeah. Eva, Doc, everybody. Making. I forgot. I had a stroke in April 28th. And I was in rehab for 21 days, right? And out in May. It was just the facility and the nurses, the CNAs, they really helped me personally, because I had no idea what I was doing, what was going on. My brain wasn't functioning, and it's like I was dumbfounded. Is that a good word? I guess. So, you know, it's going down the hallway, the long walks, the long hallways. That was a little discouraging. I was in a wheelchair, and the room wouldn't even fit the wheelchair. I was always getting stuck on my bed, always, and calling for help. I screwed up again. I ran into my bed, and it wasn't barely fit to the door, and knocked my armrest off. They always fixing something. So they're from the CNAs all the way to the nurses, the rehab therapists, their family now. They just are. I was back at ORC 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I seen Val, but I call her drill sergeant. I had to see Val. Yeah, because you know, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be walking. And I didn't think I would walk again, because when they used to lift me at the other hospital, lift me up with a crane and move me around, and that was not good. That was
taking these out the window back. It's horrible, horrible. And this new facility would be awesome for the whole community. Cause I had my stroke was in Mapleton, and they life-flighted me. That's another experience in itself. I tell you what, stuff you in a helicopter, and I mean stuff you in a helicopter. It's, wow, yeah, vibrates, oh, it's no good, but there was a big help. Now I gotta pay the bill. Yeah, so, you know, this new place sounds like it's gonna be awesome. And I hope I'm around to see it open. And, I too would like to get back. Oh, if you guys ever need me. I can test the food in the new place. Because the food at the old place, no good. Good. Yeah. That's all I got to say. I'm not very good public speaker.
This makes you want to get going.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that's it. Okay, well, that concludes the meeting. I will say, if you, the public record of this meeting, the point of the meeting is to take more information and put it into the record. The record is open throughout this application process. So from here, you know, there may be additional questions that we will want to ask. Those questions or responses are posted on our website. The first decision point is called a draft recommendation. Once we issue our draft recommendation, again, there's opportunity to provide public comment on that. From there, we issue a proposed decision. You don't need to memorize all this, there's not going to be a test, but we propose decision, again, time for public comment, and then after that, we'll issue a final order. So the record is open for quite a bit longer if you want to provide additional information. So, yes, sir.
When do they make the decision on whether they're gonna build it or not?
Once the final order, or the draft recommendation,
So you don't know yet?
not yet.
So they get to break ground next week then, right? Cut the red tape another book.
On something probably.
Yeah. There's something else I wanted to add. One of the speakers had asked about the spinal cord injury care at Riverman where we moved the unit. I just wanted to clarify, we'd still be able to see spinal cord injury patients. The thing that we would not have is a specialized wing dedicated to spinal cord injury care at Riverman, but we would still be able to take those patients.
Well, with that will conclude the public meeting. Thank you all for participating. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.